Right now on the National Weather Desk, dangerous weather.
Holy
Where's it going?
Possible tornadoes damage homes and buildings.
It landed right beside their bunk bed.
And the threat continues today.
We could see some damaging wind gusts and an isolated tornado risk.
The big melt. What will happen when California's massive snowpack turns into water?
We're playing this balancing act right now in our canal system.
An early pollen season in the Carolinas is bad news for cars.
I just washed it 2 days ago, and it's already coated in this yellow dust.
And winter, not over yet, where more heavy snow will fall today and this weekend.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Possible tornadoes ripped through the South last night, causing damage in 3 states. Some of the worst was right here in the Dallas area. This morning, more than 90,000 power customers are still in the dark, down from 250,000 last night. And that's the sound of tornado sirens going off in Dallas. It's a signal from the National Weather Service that a tornado has been spotted or indicated on the radar.
Holy
Where's it going?
that way.
And this is just one of several funnel clouds residents faced last night. When they touched down, they damaged homes, businesses, and property. That included a shopping center north of Dallas. J.D. Miles shows us what happened.
Yeah, we're fine over there.
Cesar Gonzalez had his phone recording video when he first laid eyes on the damage from high winds that blew through around 6 p.m. at this strip mall off El Dorado known as the Shops of Little Elm. As many as 6 vehicles were buried by the bricks, metal beams, and wood that were part of the front facade of the La Azteca meat market.
All of a sudden, just the winds came and the flags and fuzzies was going, things of that nature, and it just was like a boom. It was on us.
We found witnesses who were at the Fuzzy's Taco next door. They describe watching the weather go from ominous to fierce in just a matter of seconds. When they came outside to check on the damage next door, the first concern was the fear that people might be trapped.
Like I started recording and I started walking around here and we started yelling like, is there anybody inside the cars? Is there anybody that needs help? Nobody answered. There was nobody like inside the cars, thank God.
And a long line of storms rolled across East Texas and northwest Louisiana Thursday evening, stirring up strong winds along the way. Now, you are looking at the aftermath right here from Shreveport, Louisiana, where rotating winds thrashed some local businesses and parts of that city. A man says he was inside a local store when things turned frightening.
That's when the wind started picking up, and this lady said, my babies are in the car. And she wanted me to help her, and I said, let's go. But then all of a sudden, the wind got so bad, I said, no, ma'am, don't go out. And that's her car underneath that sign. If we'd gone out there, that baby, we would have been hit by that sign.
Now, the 2 children inside the car were reportedly unharmed. Meteorologist Ryan Hughes is tracking those storms as they move east today.
A powerful storm system is taking aim on the south for the end of the week. We have a frontal boundary entering the Tennessee Valley this morning. Strong thunderstorms, all threats on the table with this one. We could see some damaging wind gusts and an isolated tornado risk. Greatest risk zone today across parts of Tennessee into Kentucky. That orange zone you see is a level 3 risk. That yellow risk zone, that's an elevated risk of severe weather. That extends all the way into the Carolinas. That storm system continues to push through Tennessee through the morning hours. Noon Eastern, 11 Central. Those storms making their way through the Nashville area, continuing to move off towards the east, impacting the Carolinas by later on this afternoon into the evening time. That storm system on the move quickly, and we build high pressure back in just in time for the weekend with quiet weather and sunshine across the south Saturday and Sunday.
Earlier Thursday, a tornado touched down in eastern Tennessee. It was strong enough to wrap metal scraps around trees. Wind speeds hitting 75 miles per hour, and it was downright scary for the owners of this home right here.
And then it was like a rumbling, a roar, and then everything just started shaking. And I had my puppy and was just holding him and praying, and that's it. It was just, it was scary.
This is just wood, tin, and plastic. Be replaced.
And also roughly 35 miles east of this damage in Birchwood, another family is grateful. Reporter Sam Pena in Athens has their story.
It's a quiet bedroom where Jessica Collins' two young boys were fast asleep in their bunk beds. That is, until a massive tree that went crashing into the roof, destroying the front porch of Jessica's house, and just barely missing the bedroom window of her two children.
My heart just dropped. I seen all the girls running down and I didn't see my boys.
It was a moment of panic for Jessica, as all she could see was the wreckage of her home.
It landed right beside their bunk bed, so.
Fear followed by relief as she saw her boys safe and unharmed.
I'm just very thankful that it wasn't worse than what it is.
In the aftermath, Jessica and her husband Ronnie worry about the cleanup.
It's going to take like 2 or 3 days for the adjuster to get out and go from there.
A process they're familiar with after another tree fell on their cars last 4th of July, making them wary of storms.
I think that we're going to remove every tree around us. Yeah. I'm terrified now.
And appreciative of what they love most.
Keep your babies close to you because anything could have happened.
So true. Tornadoes have been in the news all week. We have also heard about funnel clouds, but what is the difference? To get the answer to that, we turn to meteorologist in Nashville, Tennessee, Katie Morgan.
Have you ever wondered if there's a difference between a funnel cloud and a tornado? I'll give you a hint. There is. Let's take a look. A funnel cloud is a lowering from the cloud base, but it doesn't reach the ground, so it's not a tornado. We can see funnel clouds in the sky, and sometimes they never end up becoming a tornado. A tornado, on the other hand, connects the cloud base and the ground. So when you hear tornado in progress, there is something on the ground doing damage. How about water spouts? Are they considered tornadoes? Well, it depends. There are two different categories. A tornadic water spout are tornadoes that form over water or move from land to water. They have the same characteristics of a tornado, and they're associated with severe thunderstorms and can be accompanied by high wind and seas. Fair weather water spouts usually form along a dark base of a line of developing cumulus clouds. This type of water spout is not associated with thunderstorms, and while tornadic water spouts develop downward in a thunderstorm, a fair weather water spout develops on the surface of the water and works its way upward. So there you have it, the difference between a funnel cloud, a tornado, and, just for fun, water spouts. Isn't weather cool?
Well, while the South faces severe weather and the Midwest and Northeast are actually bracing for some more snow, a powerful winter storm will impact people from Illinois to Maine. Southern Michigan could get nearly a foot of snow by tomorrow. Buffalo and Syracuse in New York could see 10 inches, and ski resorts in New England should see some snow as well. The winter has been a wild one for California. Heavy snow, rain, and ice all dumped on that region. So where is all this water going? The hope is that farmers can put it to some good use. Rich Rodriguez has more from Fresno.
The water flowing into this recharge basin likely came from Fresno and Clovis. The weekend storm that produced up to 4 inches of rain was too much for city ponding basins to handle. The stormwater gets diverted into the Fresno Irrigation District canal system so it can stream west of town.
We're playing this balancing act right now in our canal system because we're dealing with the stormwater. We're bringing it out here to our basins like where we're standing today. And we're also calling farmers up to see if they're willing to take water this early in the season.
Irrigation season begins Wednesday, so Stretch is hoping growers will give their crops an extra drink of water.
When we do have a lot of water, we want our growers to take water earlier than they might want to and later than they might want to.
A new crew of astronauts have arrived at the International Space Station after blasting off from the Kennedy Space Center on Thursday. The team consists of 2 Americans, 1 Russian, and 1 astronaut from the UAE. The crew will live on the station for roughly around 6 months, and during that time, they will conduct science experiments and perform routine maintenance. They will take over work for 4 members who have been on the space station since October of 2022. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, find out why warm winters can actually be bad news for farmers, plus a look at the damage pollen can cause to your car and what you can do about it.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a storm on the way in the Northeast late today, more so into the day tomorrow. We have sun to increasing clouds today. There's some snow, notice some rain through parts of northern New Jersey, southern New York, and through parts of southern New England. That snow and rain moves out on Saturday, and it looks like Sunday will feature a lot of clouds. I don't think we're going to see a lot of sun after today. As far as snowfall amounts go, I think the highest amounts will be in ski country, but a large portion of the Northeast will get accumulating snow.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Rain begins to move in during the day on Friday after potentially a mainly dry morning commute, say, from Maryland northbound. But everybody's getting some good rain into the afternoon and even the evening hours. Look at that heavy rain setting up in the reds and the yellows blossoming between about 5 and 7:30 as that next weather maker moves through. I think by Saturday we dry out, but it's a wet and cold day for our Friday as that system moves through. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your forecast highs for today. We're seeing a little bit cooler air up around Raleigh, 69 in Nashville, 72 in Birmingham, compared to 85 in Tampa, 88 in West Palm, the hot spots down in Florida with plenty of sun. But there will be some clouds and storms that are going to be pushing through with the next weather maker. Low pressure pushes up into Illinois. Ahead of it is a frontal boundary pushing through Atlanta as we go through the afternoon Friday. Late evening, there could be some storms in Raleigh and parts of the Carolinas.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
And it was snowing yet again in Washington State's Cascade Mountains on Thursday. Theron Zahn traveled to Snoqualmie Pass to see the conditions and to find out how the state's snowpack is doing.
A March blast of snow is hitting the Cascades, bringing impressive snow totals in a short amount of time. You can see that WashDOT has been doing a pretty good job of getting the highways cleared. They said they got as many crews as possible out working. Definitely give them some space to work. It's a hard job to keep these roads clear, and their goal is to keep Snoqualmie Pass from closing. The DOT says this time of year can bring a quick change to road conditions.
These late winter, early spring storms, they have a tendency to come in really fast, drop a lot of snow, and then leave.
The state climatologist we spoke with says, as of now, our snowpack is looking pretty good, just a bit below typical for this time of year.
Not severely so, but something 88% of normal, let's say, 89% of normal. So we're not looking for water supply restrictions in the summer ahead or anything like that.
Travelers this morning tell us people are generally taking it easy. You haven't seen anybody hot dogging or anything like that?
No, thank heavens, no. That would, yeah, I don't want to see that.
Well, some weeks ago, we told you about the winter woes of sports enthusiasts, the lack of snow impacting ski resorts, snow sculpting competitions being canceled. But finally, a win. Snowshoe lovers are getting their fun, and it's in the sun as well. Eric Peterson is northwest of Green Bay with the story.
On a clear blue sky morning, this group of snowshoers is heading out.
The temperature is perfect. Not too cold, but not getting melty and slushy. That's not as fun either. It's nice when the snow is powdery.
Sherry Bino says snowshoeing is a great way to stay active.
It's hard to find things to do in the winter that are fun, and it's easy. Once you have the snowshoes, you can go just about anywhere.
Those in this group say the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest is a prime place to snowshoe.
I go by myself sometimes, but we've also had groups of 20 or 25 people all out together, and it's nice to be following each other through the woods and I don't know, just have buddies.
One of those is Margaret Brubaker.
And what I love about snowshoeing is that it can be any age. You can get little snowshoes for little kids and wide snowshoes for deeper snow conditions, and then racing snowshoes. And so from little children till you can't walk anymore, basically, you can do it for life.
Sherry Bino says the winter sport seems to be limited only by the changing weather conditions.
In the last week, we got 2 feet, so it'll last for a while. It just depends on how fast it warms up, or if it rains. It goes away fast when that happens. So far, so good.
And now to costly winter water damage that leaves families broken, shivering in their own homes. You may hear it every single winter. Wrap your outdoor pipes and faucets because it's so much cheaper than what can happen if you don't. Mike Mangus spoke to a heating and plumbing expert who has tips on avoiding the disaster of broken and frozen pipes in your home.
As the water freezes, it will expand and then usually split a linear seam open.
And that can lead to disaster in your home. Pat Wallner says he stocked up on copper pipe and fittings in anticipation of the freeze. He says you don't want broken pipes, but if they do freeze...
In the morning, if you have no water and it's really, really cold, turn your water off to the house or at the meter before you leave home. Because once that pipe thaws out, then it will start traveling through and exposing any burst pipes in the house. And usually, if there's one, there's multiple. That's what we found out. Water expands when it freezes, and something's going to give. It usually just splits the pipe wide open. We've seen the ceilings come down on the houses that have the overhead pipes. It's pretty bad. Most customers don't realize that until they get home and can't get their door open.
And here are a couple of tips to help prevent that from happening.
Remove your garden hoses from the outside faucets, because it will freeze up and it can fall into the house. If you have any exposed piping, like where the main line comes into the house on some of the older homes in town, wrap those up in blankets or rags and put a box over it. That will help protect it from the freeze.
And now to Charleston, South Carolina, where there were only 6 days in February with below average temperatures. In fact, the overall winter temperatures have been above average for the city. And as meteorologist Cheriston Clark explains, this is causing concern for local farmers.
And I'm really worried about a cold snap on our pasture, because our pastures are 100% greened up, which is good because we're about out of hay. And if we have a cold snap or even a mild frost, can burn our pastures back, and it'll cut back on our grazing for our cows.
Thomas Legree worries about feeding his cows and his crops. As a farmer on Johns Island, they put money in his pocket and food on the table. Ongoing La Nina has kept us warmer this winter so far.
It doesn't mean each and every day of the winter is going to be warmer than normal. We know we had the very cold temperatures back in December, but when we average it out, it ends up typically in the La Nina year, especially for the low country, that about 75% of the time when you have a La Nina, you're going to have warmer than normal and drier than normal.
We have a long enough period of time of warm weather like we are presently seeing. We begin to get concerned that due to that warm up, that initiates some things that take place within our trees, bushes, vines, etc., to change physiologically, to begin to produce.
A sudden cool down or freeze could damage that vegetation.
And so when that occurs, and dependent on the stage of the plant, we could see damage with certain varieties. And so your blueberries and peaches, we've got a significant amount of varieties, some that produce earlier in the season, mid-season to late season.
And it's not just the cold that's impacting folks across the country. That's not dust coming off of this tree. It's actually pollen. And early pollen has folks in Carolina sneezing, as Michael Owen explains, is also coating everything, especially cars.
Many have gone to the car wash recently to rinse off that yellow dust covering our vehicles, only to find it back the very next day. But most of us can only take the pollen so long.
I waited around for a couple of days, and it was driving me nuts. So I had to get out here. I'm actually in between work right now, and I had to get out here and get this done.
While it can be a hassle to wash or rinse off your car regularly, the general manager at Caliber Collision in Myrtle Beach told us that you should wash it at a car wash at least once a week. But it's not your paint you should be worried about. It's the seals that prevent your car from leaking that can be broken down by the pollen.
when you get into the moldings and crevices of the car, it can start to cause corrosion from getting clogged up. And, we recommend it not letting it sit on the car very long.
Now, this is my car. Believe it or not, I just washed it 2 days ago, and it's already coated in this yellow dust. Now, if you're not going to go back to the car wash within a week, the experts we talked to said make sure you use a pressure washer instead of a hose.
Well, the world's most famous sled dog race is off to a rough start. We're talking about, of course, the Iditarod. This year, the field is smaller. Just 33 mushers have actually signed up. That's the smallest group ever. And their journey is long, nearly 1,000 miles through Alaska's wilderness. The cost of sled dog racing can be high, and inflation is blamed for the low number of entries this year. But it's so fun to watch and, of course, follow the race. We'll be right back.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We've got quiet weather across the plains, but snow and thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley and lower Great Lakes. That kicks out of here for Saturday, setting us up for a pretty quiet Saturday across the Midwest with temperatures on the cool side. Got a little bit of snow in the Dakotas and Minnesota heading into Sunday, while the rest of the Midwest slowly warming up a little bit, especially across the southern plains.
Good Friday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Uche. Look at our forecast today across the region, and we're going to get a much calmer day behind our big area of low pressure and cold front. A few morning showers, storms in Arkansas moving out. Otherwise, sunshine, although a little cloud cover, cooler in Little Rock. And then into Saturday we go. We have a lot of sunshine to get the weekend started. We'll start with some cool temperatures, and we'll look for afternoon highs climbing into the 70s and 80s across much of the region.
Well, hi there, and TGIF to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. It's the first Friday of March out west. We continue to dig out of that heavy snow up in the Sierra Nevada. Amazing skiing expected this weekend around Lake Tahoe with the sunshine back in business. 22 will be all we get in Jackson Hole. Look at the Pacific Northwest. Next weather maker, a cool front dropping scattered showers, occasionally with some wet snow or sleet around Seattle and Portland. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Severe thunderstorms swept several parts of the country this week. This heavy hail fell in Arkansas Wednesday evening. Little Rock meteorologist Todd Yacobian says 2 supercell thunderstorms produced this precipitation and more rolled through Thursday evening. Also on Thursday, this scene south of San Antonio, Texas, an early morning light show as a thunderstorm passed near an area ranch.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
And for the second week in a row, the weather was all over the place. From the noisy storms and hail that you just saw in the weather window to flowers making an early appearance. Here's a sample of what you've sent us on Chime In. We start in Northern California and this view of Mount Shasta with a new coat of snow. And check out this sunset in Rhode Island. Gorgeous. The skies were clearing last night as this was being snapped, but they are expecting clouds to return ahead of snow in a wintry mix to start on the weekend. And we end with this promise of springtime beauty in this blooming peach tree in the Bristol, Virginia region. We love to share your weather content on air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday. We'll leave you with scenes of snow at the California-Nevada border.